The amount of time that it takes to improve, the actual physical exertion required to get in shape to just be able to handle fighting another human for an hour on end is gargantuan. And anything you can do to alleviate some of the physical requirements away from that is very beneficial and helpful. And that's the reason my Worm Guard, Lapel Guard series came into existence. It was out of necessity. Because I've never been a super athletic dude. I am now, but previously I wasn't. From like 16 to 22, I was very skinny. I was like 6'2", weighing like 180 pounds. At 19, I actually competed at lightweight, which is like 160. So I was like 6'2" lightweight, which is very slim. And when you're that small with that kind of frame, you don't really generate a lot of force. And training with people who are shorter than you, maybe with more compact muscle density, it can be really difficult to use a lot of the traditional jiu-jitsu moves, even though jiu-jitsu is supposed to be about strength, leverage and technique. You do find that a lot of positions do require some strength to escape from, and it's not always possible to have such perfect technique that you are negating someone's strength with your technique, especially when the technique is equal. Because once the technique is equal, strength and weight play a huge role. And when you're training in a room with a ton of other people, you're going to be rolling with people who are of equal or greater skill than you. And that is when strength would play a factor. So for me, building strength wasn't really an option. So for me to improve, I found that innovation was a key part of my success. I was able to start using different leverages and different controls to help me find success, not only in the training room, but in competition. And it actually began with a very specific training partner of mine. His name was JT Torres. And to this day, he has my number. Maybe it's a big brother effect. I don't know what it is, but I cannot beat this guy no matter what I do. And every time I roll with him, I just get smashed all the time, like to the point it was almost embarrassing. And I did well against everyone else. I would do well against people who did well against him. But for some reason, his understanding of my game was so, like, he had such a grasp on it that no matter what I did, he would always be one step ahead of me. And this is what drove it was the fire behind me creating all these techniques. It was always to try and just do better against JT. And some of the techniques I came up with in the beginning were kind of cheap, like borderline illegal, like putting my feet in the lapels in places and ways that are like not exactly fair, like putting them inside the gi, trying to just like be annoying by using it as like a spider grip, things like that. So it started off as just a like desperate gripping for something, because one of the things that this guy was super good at is never allowing you to make grips on him. So every time I'd try and grab a sleeve or a collar, he would constantly break my grips, and I'd just be floundering in this sparring matchup, not having any grips. It was like I was fighting no gi against someone who had full control of my gi. So it happened one day as a purple belt that I just started gripping the only thing that was available, the one thing that he couldn't rip out of my hands, which was his lapel or his belt in some cases. And once I actually was able to make grips on him and control in a little bit, it helped me have a little bit more success. And that was when the genesis of my lapel guard game was created. It was through that one single grip. It's like there it was, hanging there. Angelic music plays, the light shining down through the window, and I grabbed it, and that was the moment. And from there, I had to start creating positions that could work off of this single grip that I needed to survive the match or the training session or whatever. And of course, I put a lot of effort into all of the fundamental jiu-jitsu and everything that's available to the overall knowledge of the jiu-jitsu world, the hive mind per se. And I adapted my lapel game into that and interwove it into the very fabric of current modern jiu-jitsu. And you may have heard a lot about worm guard, a lot about lapel guards, but the very unique thing about it is the knowledge of it is pretty much, what's the word? I'm really the only person that knows it.
Concentrated.
It's concentrated into my brain. And because I'm the person who has put the most amount of time into it, I've literally been working on it since 2010, 2011. I've been working on this system, and it grows every year. Every year I add new things. Every year something is exposed, a weakness is exposed, perhaps in competition, perhaps in training, and I'm forced to adapt my system to compensate for that. So the previous WormGuard DVD was like after only 1 year of the WormGuard being a system in itself, just the WormGuard. I had finally had a system that I was comfortable with, that I was ready to debut in black belt competition, and you could see the results of that from my very first black belt worlds, where I placed third in the absolute. I eventually lost to Bushesha in the absolute after a really awesome fight. You should go watch it. Prior to that, I beat Leandro Lowe in the open weight, and I wouldn't say that's because I'm an excellent competitor or some sort of athletic super being like some of these black belts are today, but it was literally because of the element of surprise, like an element of unknown. I was going out there with techniques that no one had ever seen before, and that didn't matter how good you were. In jiu-jitsu, it doesn't matter how good you are. If a new technique is presented and it's effective and you don't know it, you're a white belt in that technique. So it wasn't that I was better than Leandro, because even to this day, I'm pretty sure it's like Leandro is better than me, overall in a competitive standpoint. I've lost him a few times, but what's cool about it is I was able to beat someone who on paper is better than me by using technique, right? So that's kind of contradictory, but that is the value of learning a unique system like this, is no one knows it. Even the people who play it, like I watch a lot of people who play it, they're trying to learn through like just